So William Booth said this in 1879. He said that because when the Christian mission became the Salvation Army, there were a lot of people that were really deeply concerned because it was an innovation that was radical. It was disruptive innovation, and it led to incredible growth and impact, right? But people were saying, like, have you compromised? Have you changed? Have you drifted from the great tradition of the gospel? And he said, we have not developed and improved into universalism, Unitarianism, or nothingarianism, or any other form of infidelity. And then he says, and we don't expect to. Ours is the same salvation taught in the Bible, proclaimed by the prophets and apostles, preached by Luther and Wesley and Whitefield, sealed by the blood of the martyrs, the very same salvation which was purchased by the sufferings and agony and blood of the Son of God. Oh, there that is. We believe and that this and this alone will set it right. Hear that?
Yes.
We are on the track of the old apostles. You don't need to mix up any other ingredients with the heavenly remedy. And so we've actually designed a model here, which I'll just show for those who can't see it, who are listening. It basically tracks the early church had people that derailed, whether that's Gnosticism or other heresies, right? The Salvation Army, Unitarianism and Universalism, and then nothingarianism, which was an early form of secularism, were taking people off of tracks. So the question is, for us in the Salvation Army today, what are the things that are seeking to derail us, right? We need to both know what those are, and we need to know what the right track is. And we need to not just be training people in terms of what the Salvation Army is, but what are people that are on that same track with us from, the Great Commission to today.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And maybe it's a good time for us to transition. So you and I affirm that there is a basis for saying there is a Salvation Army theology that exists.
Absolutely.
So we can say, now we're not saying that can be refined, that can be thought through, that can be clarified, but there's a foundation from which we move in that direction. And I maintain that comes within the covenant that every member of the Salvation Army Church signs. And that's in our soldiers' covenant. Which is still on my wall at this point. So I confirm that. Now, one of the things that's come about is that there's some resources that are being used within the United States, within our particular expression of the Salvation Army in our context, that there's been some troubling trends with it. And let me and people know I'm talking about, so I'm just going to say it. And I want to be very cautious in how I handle this and to do this in love, but trying to also be that pastor shepherd that God's called me to be, and prophet too. The Orange curriculum. Please know that as we start to talk about this, there is not at the start of it, not a bigger, I don't know, there might be a bigger, but I was one of the biggest fans. And I was so thankful. My wife and I, we were the kind of one of the test cores. You can find probably videos on the Orange site of me kind of saying, this, we need to find a new cup, a new form, new ways to communicate the same truth. And I felt like they had done the research. They had done the work to understand how to get the kids. There's a lot of great resources that are used for parents, great ways to think of things. I went to the conference. I've been a part of various things. So I've been a fan of the method. Mm-hmm. At the same time, there's been some troubling concerns that come from the organization as a whole with their conference and some of these things that have been expressed lately, so Steve, why don't you just highlight, it may give me a second to pull up some of the screenshots that unfortunately I had a lot of people sending to me.
And Andy as well. I mean, again, we have been, we ran a school for youth worker training.